Good afternoon and welcome to this week's Virtual Hub. This week we are focusing on the launch of our Young Carers webpage on the Carers of Dundee website, which for the first time brings all the information and resources about the support, information and rights available to young carers in Dundee all in one place. And we are also launching a module that's for the workforce in Dundee about how to best identify and support young carers. Now, rather than use this broadcast as an opportunity to tell you all about the resources, there'll be links within the chat that you can go in and look and find out more for yourself. But it's not just been the Carer Centre or the local authority that's developed these resources. We've had a huge amount of people involved along the way, including lots of young carers and their families. So the point of this broadcast is to chat to people who've been involved in the story along the way and find out what being involved has meant to them. So before we carry on, I'm just going to ask all our other guests to join us on screen at the moment. Okay, we have Morgan and Sophie joining us from St Paul's. We've got Vince and Jessica joining us from Harris, and we also have Chris who's joining us from Children and Families. So hi everyone, thanks for being here today.
Hi.
Okay, I'm just going to do a short introduction and then I'll have you all back on for a bit of a question and answer session. So if we just pull up the slideshow, I'll talk through the story of how we got here today. So here we are sitting in 2020, and really this story began back in 2016 when a group of young carers worked with ourselves at the Carer Centre and senior managers from Children and Families to develop a new policy to support young carers in schools. And young carers got involved and told us what support had looked like for them as young carers at school and what was good about it. So when it had worked well, what was good about it, and when it could have been better, what could be improved. And here we have one of our young carers from Young Carers Voice, who was speaking at the Head Teachers Assembly at the end of that process, updating them on the school's policy and the things that were involved in that. Young carers got really involved in making sure that people knew about that young carers policy. It was really important that it didn't just sit on the shelf. And so they engaged with decision makers. Here we have young carers with local MSP at a launch event at Baldragon Academy. This was during Carers Week a couple of years ago. And now in all the schools in Dundee, there's lots of information and resources so that young carers know what their rights are and what support's available to them. So you'll see from these pictures that we've had lots of young people involved throughout the process, whether it be in school, raising awareness as young volunteers, young carer ambassadors in school, whether as members of Young Carers Voice, which is an involvement group that gets involved in decision making and goes to places like the Scottish Parliament, like you see here, or got involved in developing resources like the Support to Young Carers in School leaflet and the information that was required to complete young carer statements, which again was a duty under the Carers Act. The Carers Act came in and young carers in Dundee said, we want to be involved in making sure that our voice is heard. And so all the policies and procedures for young carer statements from the Carers Act were influenced by young carers, some of whom you'll hear from today. And here we have a young carer explaining young carer statements to the First Minister last year through the medium of a giant snakes and ladders game. So there's a lot of work involved in this, and young people have given a lot of their time and effort to make sure that we develop information and resources that we're launching today on the website that are useful and important, like these workbooks, to make sure that young people can take part in decisions that affect their life on their own terms and in their own words. And that has been a hugely important part of this process. So when we came to launch these resources, we couldn't take credit for it as the Carer Centre because it's these young people, as you can see here, having a bit of fun this time, because as well as all the work that we have to do, there's also fun along the way. And these were some young people who've been involved in this process who were involved and got to go on residential. Unfortunately, during COVID, we haven't been able to do residential training activities like this one, but fingers crossed in the future, more young carers will get these opportunities. Over the last 3 years, 78, and I think that's quite a conservative estimate, 78 young people have been involved in developing the resources, policies and information on the webpage that if you go and have a look at, you'll find out more about. And these young people are involved week in, week out as young volunteers in school. They come to regular meetings with ourselves. They come to policy meetings at a local level in Dundee. And they also get involved in policy and influencing decisions across Scotland. It's not just the carer centre staff or senior managers like this that get involved in developing the resources and policies. We are grateful that staff in teams and schools and agencies across Dundee have been involved. So we have Vince, who's from the guidance team here at Harris, to meet with us today, but there are named members of staff now in all schools across Dundee based on recommendations made by young carers. They said they wanted a named person in every school, so the school said great. And so every school has a young carer coordinator. They told the carer centre they needed a link worker in every school from the carer centre, and we said, okay, we'll do that. And so we have link workers in every school now as well. So where young people say you're not doing this as well as you could, and actually you could do better, we're committed to working with young people to make sure that young carers get the support that they've identified is important to them. So thank you for my slides. First of all, I'll be joined by Morgan and Sophie, who are joining us today from Cornwall. Hello, you both.
Hi.
Sophie, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, so I'm Sophie and I'm a Young Carer Ambassador at St Paul's. I'm also a Young Carers Voice member. So at doing the Young Carer Ambassadors, I do a lot of things like organising events and stuff. So we've done the road shows a few months ago before COVID, and that was amazing. And just like getting to speak to so many people and help so many others as well. It's one of the reasons why I wanted to be a Young Care Ambassador, to have that opportunity to help others and, you know, have these opportunities to control things, and it's just been absolutely amazing.
That sounds fab. For people who weren't involved, tell me a bit about what the road shows were like.
So the road shows were with first years, and we basically had them do different activities in different stations. So say there'd be a Young Care Ambassador per like group, and a certain group would come over and we'd be doing activities that would also not just be fun, but would also teach them about what a young carer actually is and raise more awareness so that we can also identify new young carers as well.
That sounds fab. What other skills or experiences do you think you gained through being a Young Carer Ambassador?
Oh, probably confidence. That's one thing, like confidence and, you know, just things like even just being able to go on into these lives, like things like that, and patience and courage and determination as well, because there's been a lot of you know, trying to organise things and get things right. So definitely that.
Because am I wrong to organise the activities for other young people in school alongside your link worker from the carer centre and your young carer coordinator?
Yeah, we've all been organising and trying to work together to get things right for any young carer in the school.
That sounds fab. Thank you, Sophie. Can we turn the laptop to Morgan?
Hello.
Hi, Morgan.
Hi.
So, you do a lot of work now with our Young Carers Voice group. Would you be able to give us a bit of background about the Young Carers Voice group and what you guys are up to just now?
Yeah, so Young Carers Voice is an involvement group for carers aged 14 to 18, and currently at the moment our group nearly represent every high school in Dundee. And the purpose of the group, the sole purpose of the group is the young people, they aim to ensure that carers' voices are heard, they're listened to, and that they're valued by school staff, health professionals, and you know, anybody that crosses their path in day-to-day life. Our priority for the group is we work alongside Young Carers subgroup, which is made up of professionals teaching staff, school nurses, social work staff, and the priorities that they discuss and they design as their work plan is something that we would work very closely with. So whatever the professionals and the young people are prioritising as issues or topics or areas of development for young carers, that is what we would work. We working hand in hand to make things better and to make a difference and to listen to the feedback that we gather from young carers in schools. Yeah, the group was designed back in 2017 on the back of the school's policy, and ever since then it's been a really consistent group. Members love to take part, as you've seen from the pictures previously. There is a lot of hard work that goes in behind closed doors from internal staff from the carer centre, external staff, the young people that are involved in the group. And we do have those perks, where they can go away to residentials or, we'll have fun activities, because we have to recognise their hard work and their efforts and acknowledge that and respect that as well, that a lot of their heart and soul goes into it. A lot of these issues are very personal to young carers, and it's something that they really strive to make a focus in Dundee and to make a difference for themselves and carers in general.
And I think they do that really, really well, Morgan. I think Sophie and all of our colleagues make a huge difference to other young people, both in St Paul's and across Dundee. Is there anything else either of you would like to tell us about Young Carers Voice before we move on and talk about Young Carers statements or things that you might have planned or coming up people might be interested in?
I think it's really important just to acknowledge that Sophie's only been part of Young Carers Voice for a few months. And for her to take part in this opportunity to do, the live recording for the Facebook Virtual Hub is a massive milestone for her. And there's lots of other opportunities for Sophie and other group members to take part in. Priorities for the group is we're meeting currently online, just following the health and safety restrictions. We are looking at a bit of more recruitment for the group, how we support the members that we've got, designing some resources and stationery and things that can help support the group. And we're also looking to revise the Carers of Dundee website and the modules. That's something that's been our focus for the past few weeks, encouraging all the young people and staff to take part in the modules and feedback to yourself, Sarah. How successful was that? Is there anything really great about it? Is there anything we'd like to change about it? And again, taking on board the young people's views.
And I think that would be really important as well, roll out these modules for guidance teams and social work staff. I think they would be keen to hear from young carers like Sophie, so we'll be asking for Young Carers Voice help in maybe delivering some of those staff training and awareness sessions for those teams as the training gets rolled out, so that'd be fab. Okay, thank you both for joining me today.
Yeah.
Okay, see you later.
Bye.
Bye. Okay, so that was Sophie and Morgan telling us about particularly the Young Carer Ambassador roles in school that came about through the implementation of the school's policy, raising awareness of that and making sure young carers got the support they wanted and needed in school, as well as being able to identify the fact that they were a carer. With the implementation of the Carers Act in 2018, there came a new right for young people. All young people who are young carers are entitled to a young carer statement. And when we came to implement that in Dundee, we wanted to make sure it was something that would be really relevant for young people, really relevant for the people who were there to support young people, like guidance teachers and social workers. And so we had 8 young volunteers take part in a test to help us kind of road test the draft guidance that we have, tell us what worked, what could be better, and develop resources that would make sense. And that has directly influenced the e-module that we're launching today. So I'm really pleased to ask Vince and Jessica to join me because they were key parts of that Young Carer Statement test.
Hiya. Hello.
Hello, good to see you both. So you both took part in the Young Carer Statement test. Vince, you're a guidance teacher at Harris Academy.
I am, yeah, indeed.
And I think Jessica, you guys got involved in the Young Carer Statement test because Jessica volunteered you both. Is that right, Jessica?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just would like if you could share with us what it felt like taking part in the Young Carer Statement Test, what it was like from your perspective.
It was like a good thing to do because then it's something you could do and it could go anonymously and you can spread awareness about young carers as well. And your name doesn't need to be on it, but you could put your name on it and it'll spread awareness to everybody about the young carers. Yeah.
Did you find that the statement made it easier to share some of the information about your caring role with Vince, your guidance teacher?
Well, me and Mr. Clements are close anyway, so he kind of already knew everything, but then I think it was better for him to sit down as well and learn more about the young carers and stuff.
What about you, Mr. Clements? What was it like from your perspective taking part in the test?
To start with, it was a real privilege. I was really delighted that I got the opportunity to do that with Jessica. And as Jessica was just saying, it was great for me to learn a wee bit more about Jessica. Yeah, I've known Jessica from S1 as soon as she came into school, but as the process went on, I learned a lot more about her, but not just her, but maybe a lot more about her family and some of the situations and conditions that she was living in, which I didn't realize. So it was a fantastic opportunity to learn a lot more. And like I say, I've seen the benefits, massive benefits. But yeah, no, it was a privilege. It was really, really good. Really enjoyed the whole process, and to know that Jessica's voice was being heard in the shaping and developing of the statement was quite something as well.
And do you think it helped you both understand the impact of Jessica's caring role for school and maybe help put some better, I know you both had a good relationship anyway, and so you had that good communication going, but did it improve that communication to help you support her in her schoolwork?
Absolutely, yeah. It was something, again, like I say, we got a good relationship, but that was strengthened, and also it allowed me as well, with my communication and my relationship with Jessica, to be able to share certain things with other members of staff, so that if there were any issues coming from home or whatever, I was able to communicate that to other members of staff, so that we're able to support Jessica in her learning and help her to grow academically and socially, emotionally as well. So it was massive. It probably gave me, maybe it's more a passport to helping her develop and allowing others to come with us on that journey as well. So it was massive, and one. Without, I think, the statement probably wouldn't have done it well, because I think one of the things about the statement was it allowed Jessica to take ownership and for her to give permission for me to share that information, and therefore I was able to again help her and develop all the things that she needed. So yeah, it was good. It was really good, really worthwhile.
Good. My last question for both of you, Jessica, I'm sure you're still there, was if there were other young people who were thinking about starting the process of getting the Young Carer Statement, or other guidance teachers, and they weren't really sure, what would you say to them?
Let's see. I would just.
Was it hard?
No, it wasn't hard. Like, it was quite easy to fill. Like, some of the questions made you definitely think a little bit. But I think as well, for a young person, if they're not close with their guidance teacher, as close as me and Mr. Clements, it'll maybe make their bond a little bit stronger, and yeah, it will help build stronger relationships with people around the school and stuff like that.
Fab, thank you. Anything else, Mr. Clements, that you would say if there was a guidance teacher? I mean, does it take a lot of time, do you think, or?
I think time-wise, no. I think it's quite an easy process, and I think it's one that's ongoing, which is brilliant for a guidance teacher in the busy lives that we lead. But I think it was it was something I would certainly recommend. Sorry, it's something that I would. I got distracted then. It was something that I would recommend to other guidance teachers to get involved with, because it's just amazing. I've watched Jessica develop. I think one of the things about it is having the log, keeping the record, and being able to go back to that to show the young person, look, this is how you developed. As Morgan was saying about Sophie, having that record, building that confidence, not just in that relationship with that young person, but also that young person as well, and also getting like parents involved and other professionals who are there to support, come into one place and having it all in a very manageable language for that young person. It's not adult-centered, it's that young person, it's the carer that matters. And that's what comes through in the statement to me, is that everything comes from the young person and everyone is feeding into that. So as a guidance teacher, it's a great coat hanger, I would say, to developing, strengthening and helping that young person to become the person that they are, to have that potential to go on and grow in strength and stature. So no, I would highly recommend it. It's easy, straightforward, and the benefits are amazing. It's a wonderful thing.
That's fantastic. Well, thank you both. It was lovely seeing you both again. I haven't seen you both for probably since we were doing the Young Carers Statement Test. So thank you both, and hopefully see you again soon.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bye.
Cheers. Bye. Okay, so that was fab to hear what a positive process taking part in the statement test. And obviously, we've taken all that learning from people like Vince and Jessica and other young people. And the workbooks themselves, the design of the workbooks was created by young people coming together. I can see there's a couple of questions here, and I'll just come to them at the end if that's okay. And I'll just bring on our final guest, Chris, who's Senior Manager in Children and Families and Young Carers is one of your many remits, is it not, Chris?
Absolutely. I feel a bit broad. I've come to this very late, but what I have discovered is that, in terms of the work that the Young Carers voice group and everyone involved in Young Carers has been a really true example of a bottom-up rather than a top-down process. And I think Vince has talked about that as of the young people. The involvement of the young people throughout this process has been one of the great strengths of it, and will make it a lasting process rather than, this doesn't feel like something that's been imposed from out with. This has grown throughout the schools, throughout the Young Carers voice group, and just shape things in the way that it should do. It's a real good example of getting it right for every child, and I think it fits in with so many different bits of legislation and processes, but it's really great to see how organic it is, and it's growing, and it's not down to one person, it's come across the whole system. So coming in late has been really beneficial, because it really is, from the outside, and I still feel like I'm from the outside looking in, the work that everyone has done as a partnership has been absolutely tremendous, really, really good. And it will stand the test of time, because it's not based on individuals. The process has grown throughout the schools and now growing out further. So yeah, it's been amazing.
And I think that's right. I think to have the total numbers that we've got, and that those numbers we were talking about were just people involved in these resources. I also think that's why I thought it was really important we have these discussions about how the resources came about, because it's too easy to launch a website and go, oh, that's great, look at all those resources, without realising that that's 3 and 4 years worth of work to get there. So to do it this way does take a bit longer, but I think that's worth it in the end.
I think what I get, a sense I get is that this isn't a process, it's not a bit of paper, it's something that's real, it's something that young people are involved with, and it's something that the adults round about them have picked up and supported them with, but it's grown from them. And yeah, if you look across the country, there's an awful fixation on numbers and how many statements are there. I think what we've got in Dundee and this the launching of the e-learning module is going to develop that further. We have a process that's real and tangible, and that young people are beginning to break down barriers that they have themselves in terms of sometimes acknowledging the caring role. And I think that's helping other professionals to begin to identify young people who are in caring roles who maybe haven't done that. And I think the e-module will broaden that across other parts of the system, because it's, the schools have embraced it really well. But I think now it's about other people who are coming across young people who may be carers. And it's not about saying you're a young carer, it's about saying, look, there's ambassadors, there's Young Carers Voice, there's lots of people you can speak to make that decision yourself, which I think is really important.
Yes, I absolutely agree with you. In terms of if a young person isn't at school, or maybe their family isn't already involved with social work, can they still have a young carer statement, and how might they find out about that?
Absolutely, you can have a young carer statement up until you're 18, and I know that through my involvement in the young carers subgroup, there are very strong links with Dundee and Angus College. So if you've got a young person who's not in school but who's at college, there's plenty of opportunity there. There are opportunities in terms of it's becoming more widely known, but I think that the opportunity to say you're a young carer is still there up until 18, and there's opportunities to contact a variety of people. But social work has a multi-agency screening hub where people can make inquiries, and if they feel that they are, then they'll be directed into the right place for that.
Thank you. And my last question for you, Chris, is what do you think that are the next steps in Dundee that we need to make sure that young carers continue to get the information and support that they require?
I think it's growing on what's in place already. I think having young carers ambassadors within schools, and we're looking to move that into social work teams as well, so that there are people who are absolutely aware of the young carers agenda. The e-module is going to be a really key part for us to move that knowledge and understanding, and kind of just, I suppose, asking the right questions, because it's important that everyone's aware of our role as in supporting young carers and pointing them in the right direction. I hope that makes sense. It sounds like yeah. But I think we're building on really strong foundations, and I think it's that will make this so much more sustainable and help us to expand it, because there's been lots and lots of young people involved, lots of staff within schools involved and out with schools, but it's just continuing to get that message across. And I think the e-learning module, which we're going to make mandatory across children and families, that people have to do it. That doesn't mean that they won't enjoy it, because having looked at it myself, it's very informative, and it sets the challenge. But I think what we're doing is we're building on something that's got really strong foundations via the Carer Centre, via the work that's going on within schools. So I think that the next stage will just be to raise that awareness in a wider group.
Yes, and build on that. And as you say, I think that's what's so important, is that it's no one person's responsibility to support young carers. It's all of our responsibilities to support young carers, including other young people themselves. And I think that's where the strength will be, is that everybody feels it's their responsibility.
And it's a process. It's not a statement. It's not a bit of paper. It's something that's real. And if there's additional supports required, we've now got a process in place for that additionality to be brought in, because we talk about young carers as if they're one group, like we talk about other groups. There's lots of individual needs and supports required within that, and it's building a process that can adapt to the individual requirements of each young person and whatever stage they're at. And I think that's the really important part.
Okay. Thank you very much, Chris, for joining us today. That's been fab.
Thank you.
I think now we just have a short video from another young person who was involved in the Young Carer Statement test, Ava, from a primary school in Dundee, and then I'll just come back on to answer a couple of questions and round up for today. I think we might be having a problem with the sound on this video, but we can play it again later. Yeah, we'll make sure that video is available again later. I'm sorry, I think we were having some problems with the sound there. Just to finish up, I would like to thank all of our guests for taking part today. I have had a question in the chat about how young people who are in school can apply to be a Young Carer Ambassador. There's lots of ways that you can do it. If you know who your Young Carer Coordinator is, or your Dundee Carer Centre link worker is, then you can ask them. There should be a young carers notice board in school with information about that, or other young carer ambassadors in school, they can let you know. Or you can get in touch with the Carer Centre directly via our website or telephone number, and we would be delighted to have more young carer ambassadors. We're trying to have a full team in every school. We have over 20 young people involved just now in all the high schools. So if you're a young person or you know a young person who would be interested, then please let us know. I hope you enjoy the resources and the e-modules that we've talked about today. If you have any questions, suggestions, or want to find out more, then again, please get in touch via the Carers of Dundee website, and we'll be more than happy to speak to you about that. Okay, thank you again, and I'll see you. I think it's, I can't now remember who's on next week for the virtual hub, but it is next Wednesday. I think it's the Independent Living Fund that will be here next Wednesday. So thanks once again. Bye.